All right, here we go on a Tuesday, July 11th, 2023. Today is the All-Star game for Major League Baseball. Corbin Burnes going to be appearing in his third straight. He's getting into some rare Milwaukee Brewer history with that. And I will explain more in just a little bit. If you want to get a hold of us, you can do that. Follow along on Twitter at Wisconsin_fam. That's at Wisconsin_FAM. You can also follow on TikTok. Search for Wisconsin_family. And then on YouTube, youtube.com/@WisconsinFamily1. It's just the number 1 on the end of there. Subscribe, please. Share the podcast with others, Wisconsin sports fans as well, because they need it. So anyway, that's the way that you can contact us here. Corbin Burnes, All-Star. 3 straight All-Star games. You know, he's only the 5th Brewer in franchise history to go to 3 in a row. Don Money did it. Dan Plesac. Ryan Braun. Josh Hader. And now Corbin Burnes. Hopefully he gets a shot to get in there today. I mean, his numbers, I feel like he could have done a better job, should have done a better job than he did in the first half. There are a lot of games where I didn't feel like he pitched as an ace, particularly an ace with a rotation as banged up as what the Brewers had, especially with the injury to Woodruff. It was incumbent upon Burnes to carry more, and for the most part, I thought he did not do that. Now, some of his numbers evened out, and his last 2 starts were really good. I mean, he took a no-hitter in the 6th inning in one game, I think in the 4th inning into the other, and he pitched well. So the numbers kind of evened out through the first half of the season. He was 7-5, 3.94 ERA. Hey, I'm not here to say that Burnes is not deserving of the All-Star game. 7-5, not bad. And you can't just go based off a record, because you got to remember that this Brewer offense hasn't exactly given the pitching staff much run support. So, 7-5 record, it's all right. ERA, 3.94. He's a borderline All-Star. And I think, because he went in to replace somebody who's not available to pitch. And I think some of it has to do with name recognition, even though fans do not choose the pitchers. Name recognition in these types of games, it's always worth something. So while I'm not here to say that Burnes is undeserving of the All-Star game, that's fine. I wanted to highlight someone else, though, too, at the same time. I gave you Burnes' numbers. 7-5, 3.94 earned run average. His reward is to be featured in the All-Star game and have that part of that title, All-Star, 3-time All-Star, always with him in his career. The other person, though, that I wanted to highlight is Wade Miley. You know what? Wade Miley, 6-2 in the first half, 3.06 ERA. Burnes, 7-5, Miley, 6-2. Burnes ERA, 3.94, Miley, 3.06. Again, I'm not saying that, well, I mean, you could obviously make an easy case that Miley deserved to go to this All-Star game and be recognized before Burnes. But again, I'm not here to say that Burnes is not deserving. I did want to just take a moment to appreciate Miley and what he's done. Because while Burnes has the glamour of going to an All-Star game to recognize his accomplishments in the first half, Wade Miley's got nothing but a good record and a good ERA. And if it weren't for Wade Miley, this Brewer team would not be where they are today. That banged up starting rotation, guys missing, Woodruff, Lauer, etc. If it weren't for Miley, and you could throw in the other guys too, Colin Ray, and we talk about it all the time, Colin Ray and Julio Teheran. But if it weren't for Wade Miley and the way that he's pitched, this Brewer team would not be one game out of first place sitting here at the All-Star break. So I just wanted to take a minute or two to appreciate Wade Miley, give him his due credit, because he's not being recognized in the All-Star game. Let's say it's what it is, right? But he does deserve credit. If Burns deserves to go to the All-Star game, then we deserve to talk about Wade Miley for a minute or two with what he did in the first half. I did not like the home run derby. In fact, I turned it off. I lost interest in it. I have the easy solution. Go back to the old days where you had, 10 outs? Take as many swings as you want, but you get 10 outs. Guys were cranking out homers left and right. I mean, it was a ton of home runs. And they're much more selective and picky in their pitches. However, it was a much better product. I mean, last night was unwatchable. That ridiculous split screen that ESPN used, paired with the fact that it was a 3-minute timer, so it's just going pitch, 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 and there's swing, 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 and you don't even know. I mean, there could have been 2 balls in the air. There could have been 3 balls in the air at one time. And then it's on a split screen, and you can't see any of the balls in the air. You had to judge based off of how the ball was hit off the bat if that was going to be a home run or not. I mean, it was just a jumbled up mess. And I think just about everyone agrees with that. I mean, it's bad enough to have the timer, but then when you pair that with the split screen, made it unwatchable. I turned it off. Like I said, I turned it off. And I love the home run derby. I just lost interest. It used to be fun when they just had it simple, just the 10 outs. There you go. And then you could relax between pitches, and it wasn't that bad. I mean, I mentioned it myself too. They're more selective. I heard people out today saying, well, when they had the 10 outs, it was they were very, very selective. They weren't. They swung at almost everything. I mean, it's not like it. Not everything's got to be in a hurry. I do like the pitch count in games, but it wasn't a bad product when they had 10 outs. There was no need to speed it up. You give them their 10 outs, and some guys like Corey Hart don't hit any home runs. And 30 seconds later, you're done. But that was brutal last night. Hard to watch. And I heard a lot of crazy things on the radio today about how to fix it, different ideas, going based off of not just how many home runs you hit, the length of the home runs, or tallying up the total length of all the home runs. It's the home run derby. Give the guys 10 outs, 10 opportunities to not hit a home run, see how many they get, and call it a day. Simple. And we can watch when they hit a home run. We can actually watch the ball leave the ballpark. At any rate, one other thing I heard. So tonight, obviously, going to be in the All-Star game. I heard people at multiple points in time today complaining that the All-Star game doesn't mean anything, and it just bothered them so much. They're wishing for the days when the All-Star game determined home field advantage in the World Series. So, number one, I have to say, I think that determining the home field advantage in the World Series based off the All-Star game was an absolute travesty. It was one of the stupidest ideas that baseball ever had, and I'm glad that they got rid of it 3 years ago. But hearing these people complain that the All-Star game doesn't mean anything, you know what? Baseball has 162 games in a season that matter. You can't handle the fact that there's one exhibition game right in the middle of all that. 162 games that matter, and plopped right there in the center. This one game just doesn't count for anything. And you can't handle that. So, there has to be something on the line. Why? Relax. Not everything has to mean something all the time. Relax and enjoy it, or don't. Nobody says that you have to. Whatever. That's just something that it bothers me, and to hear people complain about it. I mean, home field advantage is a real thing, and putting that on the All-Star game, look, it's simple. Home field advantage should go to the team that had the best regular season record. Simple. It's like the whole home run derby thing. Simple. It's simple. So they're way over analyzing it and whatever. The point of the All-Star game is you're watching the best against the best. And unlike some of the other games like football, basketball, hockey, where they don't play a true version of the real game, baseball does. So if you can't appreciate, and nobody's saying that you have to, but if you can't appreciate baseball being the All-Star game being a true version of the game and seeing the best go up against the best, then just turn it off. Wait 2 more days and you can watch meaningful baseball when we get back to it. Today's drink of the day, Diet Mountain Dew. Oh yeah, it's cold right out of my beer fridge, which is next to me down here in the man room headquarters. I love Diet Mountain Dew. I love regular Mountain Dew. The 77 or so grams of sugar, I suspect, is not real good for you. Anyways, 15 days until Packers training camp, so the countdown to training camp continues. And we mentioned yesterday, starting at day 16, we're going to look at a specific position group every single day until that first practice finally arrives. 15 days until that first practice. And today we're taking a look at safeties. Safeties. And it appears that Darnell Savage is the starter at free safety. I don't know why. He got benched last year. So it doesn't make sense to me to essentially just hand him that job. But if OTAs and minicamp are any kind of a precursor that it appears that's what's happened, he's being handed that job. Don't say it. Lack of accountability on the Matt LaFleur teams. It's a real thing. The real open competition is at strong safety. And there you've got a handful of guys. You've got Jonathan Owens with the Houston Texans last year. Played almost every game. Got Rudy Ford. The Packers picked up last year for special teams purposes. Now, Ford is a veteran player. I bet Owens has the most experience, I'm sure. Ford has been in the league for a while, but he's served mostly as just a special teams guy for the most part. But I like what Ford did last year when he was in there. You got Owens, you got Ford, Tarvarius Moore, and Dallin Levitt. And that's going to be the most watched competition at camp. It's going to be probably the most tightly contested competition at camp. The other being the right tackle position between Josh Nijman and Zach Tom, I would expect. But the safety, it's up for grabs. Interestingly enough, ESPN.com, I went there to find a depth chart because the Packers don't release an official depth chart until training camp begins. And on ESPN, they had Jonathan Owens as the number one guy. So, my impression from OTAs and from mini camps was that Rudy Ford was kind of in that top spot. Again, Owen's probably the most experienced, but I like what Ford did. I would disagree with that, what ESPN has on there. I think that when the Packers release their first depth chart of training camp, I think it's going to be Rudy Ford on the top. And I think based off of what he did in a Packer uniform last year, I think he should be on the top. Until somebody, kind of knocks him off. Which could happen. And I'd like to see Rudy Ford get it. I really don't care. I just want the strongest safety possible playing opposite Darnell Savage. I'd also love to see Darnell Savage bounce back. He came back last year. They changed his roll up. Didn't have him doing quite as many safety duties, and he was better. But lo and behold, what will Joe Barry do? Oh, we'll do the same damn thing, ladies and gentlemen, as we've done the last 2 years. And you know what that's going to get you? Fired, hopefully. But we shall see on that. I put out a tweet yesterday in regards to the Packers. Short, sweet, and to the point. Just said, I'm going to believe in Jordan Love until he gives me a reason not to. And I think that's something that all Packer fans should do. What proof? I mean, because I don't know. It may be Aaron Rodgers apologists, the Aaron Rodgers PJ wearers, as I call them, the Aaron Rodgers cult members. It may be them who just hate Jordan Love and say, well, he sucks. He's not any good. He's not going to be any good. Fine, you're one of those people. Have at it. For the rest of us that live in a normal world, my question would be, if you think that Jordan Love is not going to be good, why? Based on what? I'm not. If you think he's going to stink, why? I'm not telling you that I think he's going to be good. I'm just saying I'm going to believe in him. I believe that he could get the job done until I see something that proves otherwise. Well, those of you who say, well, he's no good, he's never going to be any good, what makes you say that? What did you see that makes you say that? You're basing that off of one game in which Matt LaFleur made no adjustments, but let's say that LaFleur even called a great game. You're going to base Jordan Love off of that one game where he did bad when you're playing the Kansas City Chiefs? And on the same token, you don't have to say he's good just because he played a series or two against the Eagles and threw a touchdown pass. Doesn't mean he's good, doesn't mean he's bad. We just need to give him a chance. Well, what have you seen? Well, he's rolled the bench for 3-4 years. Well, yeah. Duh. Aaron Rodgers is the quarterback. See, here's the thing. You can't... I don't know if some people, subconsciously or otherwise, thought that Love was brought in to challenge Rodgers to take over the starting role. I mean, that obviously was never going to happen. Just like it wasn't going to happen when the Packers brought Rodgers in when Favre was there. It wasn't going to beat out Favre. Time came to separate ways with Brett, and same here with Rodgers. But don't let the fact that Jordan Love has been sitting on the bench for the last handful of years concern you. That was what he was brought in to do. That's part of the plan. That's what the Packers wanted. They wanted to bring him in. They wanted him to sit the bench. They wanted him to learn behind Rodgers. I don't see any concern here when it comes to Love. But I will believe in Love till he gives me a reason not to. Just looking at some of the responses on there. Anonym Ace 2 says, agree. I am also allowed to miss Aaron and mourn him while simultaneously expecting Packer excellence from Love. So again, my statement, I will believe in Jordan Love until he gives me a reason not to. Fred says that's the motto of the Gutekunst fan club. Yeah, oh, well. I don't know what you want me to say. I'm a fan of Goody. And I think he's done a good job. Now, if he ran your favorite quarterback out of town, I guess that's between you and Goody. Victor says, most logical statement on Jordan Love as our quarterback. MD Sperlin, that is exactly the way it should be. Hopefully us Packer fans don't put too much pressure on the young man and he is able to succeed. Well, I think Packer fans, it's not on us, ladies and gentlemen, to worry about how much pressure is being put on Jordan Love. Jordan Love is an NFL football player. He's a full-grown man. If he can't handle any amount of pressure that Packer fans put on him, then he's in the wrong line of work, and he is going to be bad. If Packer fans need to pull back a bit on the reins of the pressure and expectations for our quarterback because he may not be able to handle the extra pressure, well, then we got a problem. But like I said, good news is he's a full-grown man. He's been in the NFL for a handful of years, though he hasn't played. Went through college, went through high school. I'm sure he can handle the pressure. And if he can't, well, going to go on the scrap heap with a lot of other former NFL players. Thomas says, you're in good hands. I have a good feeling about Mr. Love. Well, this is an interesting one. Beastmaster says, I'm the other way around. I won't believe in him until he gives me reason to. That doesn't mean I don't have high hopes for him or mean that I don't agree with the Packers' decision to make him the starter. Like any player, I'll believe in them once I see them. And that's a fair way to look at it. That's fair. And I think that goes exactly along with what I was saying, is that the one game against Kansas City doesn't mean he's bad, and the one game against the Eagles, the one series or two against the Eagles, doesn't mean he's good. I'm not making a judgment on him. I'm just saying I believe in him. He's just giving me no reason to not believe in him. He's giving me no reason to think he sucks. And for Beastmaster here, he says, what? He's giving me no reason to think he's good. All right, that's fair. That's fair enough. Barry's Fields 1 says it's coming week 1. The reason to not believe. That's coming from a Bear fan. So that is of no worth to us here in the state of Wisconsin. Again, if you want to follow along on Twitter, we would love for you to do that. Twitter handle at Wisconsin_fam. That's at Wisconsin_FAM. On YouTube, youtube.com/@WisconsinFamily1. TikTok, search us, Wisconsin_family. Yesterday we had talked about one of the first guys that the Brewers had drafted. Was their first pick, Brock Wilken, and the fact that he plays third base. And I had said that I hope that at some point maybe they could convert him into a first baseman. And then that never-ending revolving door. But I did get one comment, and this is from EM. He said, every time they try and give someone first base, they end up crapping the bed. Tellez being a perfect example. Nails the audition, but then when it's time to show up game after game, he and others have disappeared. And it's amplified by our memories of Prince there. See, now, for me, and I've mentioned this before, I don't get down on Rowdy like that. You remember when he was originally brought in? He was brought in to be a role player, a platoon player, if you will. And at some point, he morphed, or the Brewers organization morphed him into being an everyday player. But that was not the original intention. Now, you could say, well, he's still a major league player and he should be able to hit. Well, that's true. But we don't have the same expectations for Brian Anderson when he's playing in the outfield, or Tapia, as you do for Mike Trout, Bryce Harper. You know why? Because they have different levels of skill, talent, and ability that God has given them. God made some people to be role players. God made some people to be platoon players. God made some people to only be able to hit against lefties or against righties. God made some people only able to record 3 outs in a game, like a lot of relief pitchers. He made some people to be able to go 7 innings. Everyone's got their own skill set and level of ability. And Rowdy Tellez, see, I can't look at, because I look at Rowdy Tellez and I say role player, platoon player, perfect at it. That's his niche. So I can't look at somebody like that and say, well, you're failing as an everyday guy, so shame on you. Nah, that's not the way it works for me. Any more comments to get to here? Let's take a quick look. Again, at Wisconsin_fam on Twitter. I wanted to, let's see here. I wanted to check as well some of the other accounts, either on YouTube or on TikTok, and see if we had any comments to get to. UWOX95, try saying that 3 times fast, on Twitter says, Burns, in regards to Burns being an all-star, and my appreciation for Wade Miley, he says Burns was not all-star caliber in the first half. Bizarre. Well, I mean, yeah, like I said, the name recognition sometimes can play a role in that. High off one hit, nice name, from Twitter, in regards to the All-Star game meaning or not meaning something, says it's the best of the best facing off, and in baseball they actually try. People just want to complain. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's exactly what essentially I said, right? You're playing a real version of the game, and it's the best pitchers going up against best hitters. Hard to beat it. Just checking here. Again, if you want to follow on, let's see, where are we at here? On TikTok, you can do that. Wisconsin_family. Looking through here to see if we have got any comments to get to from anything that we discussed. Nothing too important right now. Sure, I'm looking forward to the second half of the summer. Brewers going to be in a fun pennant race. By the way, we are planning on having Tim Dillard on the program tomorrow. Talk a little bit about the All-Star game tonight, I'm sure. Talk about the Brewers and what lies ahead for them in the second half. What did they do well in the first half, and what can we expound upon in the second half? Second half of the summer, though, boy, it's going to be fun. It is going to be fun. One thing that we completely forget to talk about, and we shouldn't, because they might be the best team in the entire state of Wisconsin this year, and that is the Wisconsin Badgers. So we're going to have the Brewers in a pennant race in the second half. We're going to have Packers training camp starting up here in 15 days. And then not too long after that, of course, preseason games. And then you're going to have the Badgers starting to heat up here too. So really looking forward to the second half of the summer of 2023. Plus, hey, we're a couple minutes away from Lake Michigan. Give me some hot weather. Go down there and jump in the lake. Be about 20 degrees cooler by the lake. Come back, watch a Brewer game. Go to the Brewer game. Go to Packers training camp. Watch Jordan Love. Watch some of these position battles. That's going to be fun. All right, that's going to do it here for the show today, the Wisconsin Family Podcast. Again, please go to YouTube, youtube.com/@WisconsinFamily, the number 1, @WisconsinFamily1. And please subscribe. We appreciate that. And share it with others. And hope you have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow.